Hello there, it's Aussie Star Wars Nerd, and today we're going to take a look at everything we know about the main planet of Jedi Survivor, Koboh. This video will include all the species, map details, and characters on the planet. Most of the information in it will come from gameplay trailers by IGN, but there will be some info coming from various Star Wars YouTubers such as Bombastic, Eckhart's Ladder, and many others, who went to the Jedi Survivor demo in LA and just recently released their videos about it. The links to every single one that I'm aware of will be in the description below. Anyway, let's get into the video. It appears that Koboh has some pretty strong connections to the Jedi of the High Republic. The overall design of this massive tower really reminds me of Starlight Beacon's towers, and these buildings in a part of the map known only as the Outpost look quite a lot like giant Jedi holocrons, with some of them leading to Jedi chambers such as the Chamber of Clarity in this footage. I believe successfully completing these challenges will reward you with some kind of new cosmetic for the game, be it a new hairstyle, lightsaber part jacket, or BD1 skin. The map is also way bigger. It looks to be at least 3 times the size of Zeffo from the first game, which I think was the biggest planet in Fallen Order. Some of the most important things to note around the map are the Lucrehulk sphere in the background that you may or may not be able to explore, and a scrap sandcrawler. There are a lot of different creatures on this planet, and some of them are actually tameable, allowing you to ride them. There's the Neko Mount, a creature that is basically Star Wars version of an emu. It can be either brown, yellow, red, or probably any color, and allows you to traverse rocky terrain and even jump off it in order to gain some extra height. Speaking of height, another rideable creature in the game is a large flying bird that is called a Belter. It allows you to hang off its legs and glide off cliffs, giving you a much faster way to travel across the map. Now, if any of you were wondering, we will actually be seeing a species from the first game. Boglings are back, and this time you can interact with them and give them a little pat. However, because this is a sequel to Fallen Order, that is about all the passive aliens on the planet, meaning you still have to go around killing the local wildlife. Some of the easiest enemies that you will face off against are these oversized chickens that attack by charging headfirst at an enemy with enough force to knock a stormtrooper off their feet. Not like that takes much anyway. Another smaller enemy are these little grub things that will probably behave just like the bog rats from Bogano in the first game, and the final small enemy on Koboh are these reptilian dog-looking things called Gorges. They are probably about the same strength as a Skaz. Moving on to the much larger enemies, we have this thing here, which we first saw in the trailer. This is called a Biomole, and its attacks involve headbutts, biting, a roly-poly attack, and an attack where it vomits all over its enemies, and basically a much more powerful version of how the Slag attacks its enemies. Its skin also seems to be pretty resistant to lightsabers, but I guess that's how it is with basically everything in this game. And if you thought that sounded like hard work to fight, there's a lot more to come. Remember this giant wampa looking thing from the second trailer? I made a video a while ago claiming that it was a cliff wampa. Well, guess what? I was wrong. This is actually a Mogu, a brand new species to Star Wars. It behaves very similar to a Wampa, and if it was to pick you up, you could get given a QuickTime event that allows you to cut off its arm, which has to be a reference to this iconic scene from Empire Strikes Back. There is also going to be multiple Mogus across the map for you to fight. They will be introduced in a similar sort of way that the first Jotaz that you had to fight in Fallen Order was. It will appear as a boss fight the first time you come across it, until after a while it just becomes Bantha Poodoo. Speaking of the Jotaz, another enemy that reminds me of it is this yellow gorilla bear thing. It has no confirmed name, but its attacks and health bar seem to be very similar to the Jotaz. As for proper boss fights on the planet, you will have to fight this guy here, and at some stage I'm sure you will have to fight Ravis, who is now confirmed to be a Gendai. If you didn't know, Gendai can regenerate their limbs and are almost impossible to kill. Another boss fight is one against a Rancor, so that will be fun, and no, you can't tame the Rancor, as awesome as that will be. So that is all the species you will have to fight that I am aware of. This is by no means the end of the enemies though, as you will have to fight the Bedlam Raiders and their repurposed B1 and B2 battle droids, along with BX Commando droids, Magna Guards, and Droidekas. It's pretty easy to understand what all of these guys' attacks will be if you have played Battlefront 2 or even just watched the Clone Wars. But in case you haven't, B1s will just fire a basic blaster and nothing else. B2s will fire rockets out of their wrists and maybe blaster shots along with some heavy melee attacks. Commando droids will jump all over the place with vibro swords. Magna Guards will probably wield an electro staff and attack you with it. And Droidekas will shoot a ton of blaster bolts with an energy shield surrounding them. And don't worry, there will be stormtroopers too. Most of them will be the same as the old ones from the first game, being normal stormtroopers, heavy assault stormtroopers, and scout troopers. Some scout troopers, however, will now have a riot shield along with their electro batons, which is an interesting addition. And that is the end of the enemies that you will have to fight. If I forgot any, then please comment them below. There is this giant turtle giraffe thing called a Trontoshell, but I don't think you will have to fight it. It will probably just go about its business like the Binog on Bogano. Anyway, moving on now, we have to take a look at all the side characters on the planet. I'm just going to list them off and briefly explain every single one that I know. Obviously, there's going to be Ravus, the Gendai I just spoke about. There's also going to be Grease, who now owns a cantina on the planet. In his cantina are these two characters. The droid is called DDEC, and DDEC is actually really cool because you can choose which song he plays. Next to him is his owner, Ash Jarvi, and we don't know much about her. One thing that we do know is that you can recruit them both to your crew somehow. Another side character is Doma, a species that I couldn't identify who owns a shop right outside Grease's cantina. You can buy different hairstyles and other appearances from her. When you first enter the town, there is two people. One of them is a male human and another is a Troidotome, the same species as Claude. There is also a random scavenger droid somewhere on the planet that will run away from you. If you manage to catch him before he gets away, he will give you some form of reward. Another important droid is this pit droid that will give you some form of a side quest, and that is all the side characters that I know of that are on the planet. I'm sure the rest of the Mantis crew will probably end up there at some stage too, but this is all we know for now. So far, Jedi Survivor has just taken everything from its predecessor Jedi Fallen Order and made it bigger. And the terrarium on the Mantis is no exception, as not only are there more plants, but there is also a much larger garden. And it's on Koboh. The only confirmed plants in the game are a few different subspecies of Nabooan plants, which is strange because we aren't on Naboo and are finding Nabooan plants, but I'm sure that will be explained somewhere. The Nabooan plants Cal will be collecting are palm fruit shell, cactus ball, and pine fern, and that's all we know. Merrin might use some for her Night Sister magic, or Grease might use them for cooking, but the most likely thing to happen is that Grease just ends up looking at them. And that is everything we know about Koboh from Jedi Survivor. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.